Thanks for being here. Here we're learning a strategy how to decrease your CPCs and therefore CPLs of Facebook ads, changing nothing but the way you bid. Stay with me until the end of this video because there I have some awesome gifts for you. And now let me start with the agenda of the video. First, I want to make sure we're all on the same page, and I will therefore be talking about the terms I'll be using throughout this video, and I will also give you some general information about Facebook ads which is necessary for understanding why exactly this strategy works so good. I will then explain you the bidding strategy and show you some examples. Next, I will explain it again from slightly different perspective, focusing on the core principle and reasons why it works. I will after make a quick comparison to Facebook's auto bidding, and you guys can also compare it to your current bidding strategy. And for those who will stay with me until the end, I will give a voucher for free use of a great piece of software used for any manual bidding strategies automation, including the one I'll be talking about in this video. One of the cool features of this software is that it can be controlled within Facebook. That means you can just continue managing your ads the way you are currently doing, whether that be Facebook's interface or Power Editor or any third-party tool, and on top of that you'll get a possibility of creating your custom manual bidding strategies and managing them. And now let's start with the presentation. We will be talking about manual bidding strategy, and one of the terms I'll use a lot is bid. Saying bid, I refer to the maximum cost per action you set in your Facebook campaign, whether that be max CPC or max cost per conversion or max cost per 1,000 impressions. In all of my examples, I will be using the clicks to the website as a campaign objective, and therefore I'll be basically referring to the max CPC. Facebook ranks your ads based on the ad rank. So the formula of the ad rank is bid times relevance score minus negative social signals plus positive social signals. Since we are here talking about the bidding, we can only influence the bid variable of that formula, and therefore we can assume that all the other variables will stay the same. And if we increase the bid, we will also increase the ad rank. If we decrease the bid, we will decrease the ad rank. Last summer 2016, Facebook changed the way they approach daily budget. So currently Facebook can spend up to 20% more on some of the days to then underspend on some of the other days, so that you will still be able to hit your target spend if you look at the campaigns week over week. For the manual bidding strategy, this thing does no good. So in all of my examples, I will assume that Facebook has no possibility of spending more than I set. And later in the video, I will also show you how you can turn off that feature and never let Facebook spend more than you set on any day. If you ever ask Facebook guys, hey, how much should I bid? You will normally get an answer of that. You need to bid your true value or your click value. It's also called the break-even CPC. And here I want to see how you can calculate that. Let's assume that you sell a product which costs 1,000 euros and you have 30% margin, which leaves you with 300 euros from each sale. Your conversion rate from lead to purchase is 20% and from click to lead is 5%. Knowing all that, you can calculate your click value or the break-even CPC, which is just multiplying all of the coefficients, and you'll get 3 euros. What this number tells you is that if you ever are able to get clicks below 3 euros, you will be making profit. And if your clicks will be costing more than 3 euros, you'll be making a loss. Alright, so let's say that you figure out the click value and you also figured out the creative and the offer and your target audience. Whether that be lookalike, custom audience, interest, or behavior based, you have a reason to believe that your potential customers are in that audience. So key factor to understand here is that within your target audience, there are cheaper and more expensive users to reach, but all of them share something in common which makes them be in your target audience. So let me plot this here on the left. This just represents how expensive a user is. So all of the users within your target audience closer to the bottom are cheaper, and closer to the top are more expensive. So here I want to talk a little about why some of the users are more expensive. And I asked this my account manager, and basically the reason for that is the competition. In other words, it's how many other advertisers try to put their message in front of that particular user and how aggressive they are with their marketing. So why advertisers trying to put their message in front of some users? One of the easiest explanation is because those users are likely to convert, but here it's not that easy how it feels like. You need to understand that a user might be in tens or even hundreds of different audiences of different advertisers. If they are likely to convert for them, this doesn't mean that they're as likely to convert for your business. Think about all these third-party data providers Facebook works with. Think about millions of websites where the Facebook pixel is installed, and this pixel kind of automatically populates the custom audiences, and a lot of advertisers use Facebook platform as a retargeting tool. So users kind of naturally become part of more and more audiences, and this way there are more and more advertisers trying to put the message in front of them, and the users just become more expensive. Think about a certain user just got into the retargeting audience of a local dentist or a local car dealer or a big online shop with aggressive marketing strategy. So these advertisers know that if the user makes a purchase, they are going to make a lot of cash on him, so they are able to bid much more than you would normally bid. This basically kind of makes us to the point that it doesn't really make a lot of sense to try to compete on such expensive users at the time when they are expensive, especially if there are other users which are kind of as likely to convert but much cheaper. So to wrap up this part, basically Facebook's costs is not a good representation of what a user, what potential value of the user is it for your business. So let's go ahead and say that we bid our true value, which is €3, and our produced ad rank is now enough to kind of show our ad to piece out the target audience, which is quite big here. So what just happened is basically we bid a lot, we produce high ad rank, and this way we're kind of getting this volume advantage because we're able to target a lot of people within that audience. And again, what a lot of marketers do is they set high bid, get high ad rank, get a volume advantage, but never use that volume advantage because they're limited by the. Let's talk about expected CPL, or cost per lead, from that target audience. So you can calculate a CPL by multiplying conversion rate and the CPC, but since we know that all the users are coming from the same target audience, we can assume that rate at which they are going to convert is going to be roughly the same, so we can just ignore the conversion rate from that. This leaves us with the CPL being greatly dependent on the CPC. Knowing that, a good start would be to set a low bid, produce some ad rank, and then be able to show your ad to some users from your target audience, and then give the system a bit of time and look for the feedback. Is the volume you are getting with such bid enough for you, or you want some more? Maybe you're not getting any volume at all. So what you want to do then, you want to slightly increase your bid, slightly increase your ad rank, and then do this in a loop. Wait again, give a system a possibility to give you some impressions or actions at that ad rank, and then if you're not satisfied with the volume, you're going to go ahead and increase it even further. Later on, I will show you how to automate that and use software which also can use some early indicators for prediction in terms of what roughly will be the volume you can get with that ad rank. Another cool thing this approach kind of naturally, automatically does is so-called cheaper hours. So you know that on Facebook there are some hours which are more expensive and some hours which are less expensive. If you have an ad which has been running for at least one full day without any changes, you can go in your Facebook interface, split the statistics by the hour, and that should be the viewer's time zone. And then you'll see that different parts of the day are just having different competition. So normally the hour 9 would be the most expensive hour of the day. And the reason for that is because there are a lot of users waking up, checking their phone, checking Facebook, arriving to the office, checking Facebook in the office, and at the same time there are a lot of advertisers
who have just gotten their daily budget refreshed. So that means they just start in the day, they have a daily budget not used up yet, and that basically means they start fighting a lot for those users. So there is a big inventory of the users at that hour from Facebook. There are a lot of advertisers with not spent yet budget, and therefore the CPCs just basically increase a lot. So what that approach would kind of do is that if it's not enough ad rank to show your ad to a user at hour 9, it will just kind of wait until some later hours and show that ad to the same user, but just at a cheaper hour, maybe somewhere in the evening or somewhere in the afternoon. A very similar approach comes to so-called cheaper moments. So think about a user which for some reason went to a online shop, put some products in their cart and just forgot to pay, or for some reason did not pay. So normally such user would automatically go to the retargeting audience of that online shop, and because the online shop just values so much that user at that given time, they are going to bid a lot to make them come back to the website and just basically finish the payment procedure. Well, normally you don't want to compete with such big guys at that point of time, so you'd rather wait a little until when you can again reach the same user at much cheaper costs. Alright, now knowing some theory behind, let's try to see what exactly would be your actions if you want to start a campaign and run a campaign. Let's say that you have a daily budget of 100 euros, you have same targeting, same creative, same text message. You're going to be having everything the same except for different bits and different scenarios. So here the blue figure and the blue kind of represents the potential reach based on the ad rank. So in the first scenario, you bid your true value, which is 3 euros. You get to the 10,000 eligible clicks, and you get an average CPC of 2 euros. Out of that, you get 50 clicks, spend all of your budget of 100 euros, and that's it. So an alternative scenario to that is that you bid 1 euro. Because of your lower ad rank, your potential reach or potential number of users you can show your ad to shrinks a lot, from 10,000 to just 1,000, but also your average CPC decreases as well. So here you are able to get 125 clicks, spending all of your 100 euros again. Next scenario is that you bid 50 cents and your ad rank is already way too low. You are getting just eligible for 200 clicks with your average CPC of 40 euros or 40 cents. So what do you get? You are not anymore able to spend all of your budgets. You only spend your 80 euros. You get all of the eligible clicks you were eligible for, and you are basically limited by the bid. So if you had a higher bid, you would be able to get more clicks normally, generally speaking. And last example is if you bid 40 cents, you get 100 eligible clicks, also cheaper CPC, but you've gotten all of the eligible clicks you are eligible for, but only spend 30 euros from your 100 euros, and you're again limited by the bid. Let's try to see what is that main KPI of a campaign, which kind of could be used to, measure the performance of the campaign. And here I'm going to be using the value, or you can call it potential profit. So it's going to be all clicks value or all minus all clicks costs. So let's go back to our examples, to our scenarios. In the first scenario, we've gotten 50 clicks. Each click is worth 3 euros for us. So that produced 150 euros of value minus 100 euros we need to pay to Facebook for the ads, which leaves us with 50 euros. And typically Facebook would say, hey, come on, this is such a cool thing, because you do ads on Facebook, we provide you more value than you pay for this. So isn't that cool? Continue doing Facebook ads. What they typically do not say is whether that 50 euros is a good amount of value you've gotten, or if you were able to get much more value from that campaign, but you just for some reason didn't get this. So let's go to the second scenario, and here you get 125 clicks. Each click is again worth 3 euros. That produces 375 euros of value. Minus 100 euros to Facebook leaves us with 275 euros of value. And this is completely crazy, because that's already, more than 5 times as much as in the first scenario. Let's go to the next scenario, and I've done the calculations for you before, and I only will show you the result. And for those who are already fast with the calculations, you can see that it's 520 euros in value. That's completely crazy because you get 200 clicks times 3 euros value, which is 600 minus 80 euros you paid to Facebook, is 520 euros. If you compare it to the first scenario, that's more than 10 times as much. Basically, you change nothing. You are just smart with your bidding strategy. And the last example, when you go too low with your bid, you cannot achieve a lot of users in your target audience, and you are only left with 135 euros. But what you can see is that 135 euros of value is still greater than the first example. And at the same time, you are spending just 15 euros, and for some advertisers, in some circumstances, that would be quite important. So all in all, if a campaign is limited by budget and not by the bid, there is optimization potential. This happens because you pay premium for volume, and you are not taking that. In an ideal world, you would like to spend as close to your budget, but still not all of your budget. But in reality, it's very hard to achieve. So what we see is a achievable sweet spot would be around 80 to 90% of your budget spent. Now I want to make a bidding strategies comparison, and I will be comparing Facebook's auto bidding to the manual bidding strategy, and you guys can also compare it to your current bidding strategy. Back in time, Facebook used to call it not automatic and manual, but simple and advanced mode. And basically, why is it simple and advanced? Think you're Facebook, and the user for the first time comes on Facebook. What is important for you as for Facebook? So important for you is that the user comes back. What should you do so that the user would come back? Is that he or she should get results. He or she should see that their potential customers are also on Facebook. So what Facebook kind of needs to give them is a simple as possible way to make sure that user thinks that the potential customers of their business are also on Facebook. And for that reason, there is automatic bidding, because it's so easy to implement, one click and you are getting some conversions, but there is no topic of the cost per conversion yet. So, but once a advertiser comes back to Facebook and thinks, okay, that's quite a cool platform, I have some potential clients in here, what they need to be getting is they need to be getting additional possibilities of optimization and segmentation. So what Facebook would normally do, they would kind of gradually bring in complexity to be able to give to the advertiser efficiency and effectiveness. So at that point of time, people start talking about CPCs, CPLs, volume, and this kind of stuff. One needs to really distinguish between those two stages. So in the beginning, it's all about just get the conversions at whatever cost per conversion is. In the second advanced mode is get as many conversions as possible under my constraints. Let's go a bit deeper in the comparison. So if we talk about the main goal, the Facebook's auto bidding first want to spend all your budget and then give you actions. And here it's important that it first spends budget and then gives you actions. If we talk about the manual bidding strategy, so the main goal is to maximize number of actions under the budget and under the max cost per action constraints. So let's try to think of an example when we would have same everything, except for one scenario would have the auto bidding and the other would have the manual bidding strategy. So in which scenario they would kind of produce different results. Think that there are only expensive actions left. So if you had the Facebook's auto bidding, you would get those actions at expensive costs, whereas in the manual bidding you would normally not spend your budget. And the reason for that obviously is that Facebook's auto bidding has no idea what exactly is expensive action for you. Maybe you're selling, a $100,000 product and a CPL of 1,000 is completely fine for you, whereas in the manual bidding you can control it with the max cost per action constraint. If we talk about implementation, Facebook's bidding Facebook's automatic bidding is so easy to implement. Obviously, it's just one click. You should not worry about this anymore. If we talk about the manual bidding strategy, It's either manual, you need to sit in front of your computer and change the bits, well, manually based on the feedback, based on the statistics you see in the interface, or you can also automate this using software. If we talk about disadvantages, in Facebook's auto-bidding there is no cost per action control, and that's very big problem basically, because Facebook doesn't know what exactly is expensive for you. It's hard to scale, it's actually impossible to scale, and the cool thing is that it's not meant for scaling, because this model just kind of wants to give you an understanding that there are your potential clients on Facebook, and then kind of makes you use manual bidding to get to those users on scale. It's not reliable. What I mean by this is there was a story about a guy has been running Facebook ads with Facebook's auto bidding for several weeks, and they were quite profitable. They had a CPC of like 50 to 60 cents, and what he logged in his account and saw CPC of over 10 euros. And he obviously stopped all the campaigns, but then he said, hey, what should I do next? Should I change something? But I have no idea if new CPCs are going to be as expensive as before. If we talk about the disadvantages of the manual bidding strategy, it's advanced method and it's hard to understand. And it's even more hard to implement without the bidding software. But the cool thing here is that if you can handle that complexity, you can get the cost advantage. Also a little cheat code here is that if you cannot handle that complexity, well, make the software to handle that complexity for you, and you can still get the cost advantage. If we talk about the advantages, well, obviously the Facebook's auto bidding is very easy to implement, and that's all. That's all basically. I don't see any other advantages of this auto bidding. If we talk about the manual bidding, it's efficiency, scalability, control, and transparency. These are the major, very important advantages of that strategy. What I mean by the transparency, by the way, is because I'm using software to automate such manual bidding strategies, and I can see exactly at which point of time what trigger was triggered to do what changes. So later on I can also look in the output of the log and see what exactly I did this and this change, what led to that, and later kind of shape the system to make it work even more efficient, trying to reach my goal. Alright, we're at the end, and I hope you're as excited about manual bidding as I am. To say thank you that you've been with me throughout all of this presentation and for your attention, you are going to get 7 days free use of Facebook bidding automation software. It's unbelievably cool. I use it all the time. You will be able to choose some pre-selected bidding strategies. One of the bidding strategies is based exactly on something we're discussing in this presentation, but here we're more discussing about the reasons why it works this or the other way, and there you're going to be able to really put this into numbers and use it on your Facebook campaigns. And as said before, it's possible to control that software from Facebook. That means no extra third-party users, dashboards, logins, passwords, and so on. If you like it, go down, fill in the form with your email address and your approximate monthly budget for Facebook ads, and you will be put on a list and you will be getting the instructions of how to proceed. If you like the content of this presentation, I have two options for you. First is you can enter the content to win a 1 hour-long one-on-one Skype consultation with me. To do that, please go and share this presentation on your Facebook. Alternatively, if you like the content, if you think that the content provided any value for you, I also give you a possibility to donate for that project. I ask you to donate exactly as much as you think value this provided to you. So don't donate more. If you think there was no value for you, better don't donate anything at all. If you've actually gotten something cool out of this presentation, if you think that will be of value for you, I also give you an opportunity to kind of thank me back and give something back by doing a donation. And right now, I thank you again very much for watching this and for being with me, and hopefully I'll see you in some of the other videos.